Welcome back. Hi, I am Miss B, and you are watching Miss B's Academy. And today, I want to talk about work stress. I think everybody who's working a 9 to 5 can relate to work stress, whether it's where you work, whether it's who you work with, whether it's the location, or even the type of work that you do. I think you can definitely be able to relate to work stress. So before I get started, I teach, but I'm not a teacher. I profess, but I'm not a professor. I instruct, but I'm not an instructor. In this season, I'm being very careful with my I am statements. I am present. So many of you already know I am an educator, an international educator. I teach English all throughout the world to various people, kings, queens, princesses, soldiers, continuous learning. I've literally taught everyone from deaf, mute, blind, um, amputees. I've taught a variety of people, and sometimes I enjoy doing it, and sometimes I don't. So I'm one of those type of people. I like to be on time for work. You often hear me say that in my closing, come to work on time. And so growing up as a child, I don't believe they were ever really late for anything because we were always early. School starts at 7 o'clock, so I try to be there at 7:40. One of the things that frustrate me, like completely just frustrates me, is I work at a government school, and yet sometimes the systems are not working. Like the system that I use to clock in, it's not working. I get there on time, but then I have to be clocked in late because the system is delayed. This happens way too often. A lot of it has to do with probably the weather and other things that I'm unaware of, but I'm pretty sure it happens to teach me a lesson. So I'm not gonna lie, I gripe. I have a song, I come to work late, but I clock in late. I come to work early, but I clock in late. I come to work, what did I say? I come to work early, but the system clocks me in late. And, I keep saying that, in order to not be fully like, right? Of course, I really want to be, because if I come to work on time, I want to leave on time, right? Like, I have a life to live. I want to leave on time. And so sometimes my day starts out that way. But in order for me to not stay in that negative groove, I just keep saying, I come to work early, but the system clocked me in late. You know what I mean? You sold 2008. This system's 2000 and late. Like, I'm always just like making up things to say and to do to just keep myself from falling into that deep negative hole. From there, a lot of times communication. There's always communication is the key, but sometimes it's always a problem with communication, right? Because the systems are not working, the Wi-Fi is not working. If someone sends me a message, I don't get it until later, or sometimes I don't get it until I get home. That probably has to do with my phone. I'm not sure, but some things happen, like teachers don't leave their classes on time, teachers don't go to classes on time. Some teachers want to start a test 15 minutes before the class ends, and you get to class on time, which for me is about 5 minutes early or a minute early, and they're still in there talking, doing an exam, right? And by the time you get there, the kids are upset, they're frustrated, they haven't gone to the bathroom, they haven't drank any water, they're not prepared to, start the next lesson, because the lesson before that took a little bit more out of them than they had anticipated. And that's very stressful, because I'm one of those type of people. I learned how to be on time. I learned how to be prepared. I learned how to be considerate. I learned how to consider others. I learned how to be patient. I learned how to be kind. I learned how to just, prepare myself, gather myself, and just try to conduct myself in a way that isn't stressful, not only to me, but isn't stressful to other people, right? I find it's extremely stressful to get somewhere. You're on time and you have your day planned, and you have things planned the way you want them to go, and then boom, something happens. This job has actually taught me more. Being abroad teaches you a lot of things. Like, it's taught me to be a little bit more patient, right? And maybe not more patient with other people, but definitely patient with myself, right? Because I can't be patient with others unless I'm patient with me first, right? And so after, after the teacher has left the class, it's already, this teacher is leaving during my class time. So she's interrupting my class time. So I come in, the students are telling me about their day, about what's happening, about what's wrong, about how they're feeling. And of course, I really just want to get into my lesson. But I'm one of those type of people, I have to listen to what they have to say because I'm not going to get anything done until I do. That's not a problem. I had to begin to factor that in to my lesson. Coming in, good morning, how's everyone? How are you doing? Miss B, I'm sleepy. Miss B, I'm tired. Miss B, I'm upset. Miss B, da 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 da, right? And as I address each need and listen to everyone and they tell me what's going on, I feel like, okay, cool. I'm able to, they're able to unwind and let me know what's going on. And then I just head into my lesson, right? I find it another thing that frustrates me at work is the constant interruptions, right? I'm already interrupted because my class did not start on time because the teacher that was in here didn't leave on time. And as a matter of fact, we start class every day the same time. It's not like every day is a different time. Every day, every week, it's the same time. Every Tuesday we have PD, right? Every Wednesday we have club time. We get the schedule. We know the schedule is up in our offices. So how in the world do you not go to your class on time? And how do you not leave your class on time, right? So I leave my class on time, a little bit upset because I wasn't able to get through everything I wanted to get done, right? We have a curriculum and we have IPs and we have things that we need to do for each day, right? And so what I've had to learn is some days we're just not going to get through everything, and that's okay, right? It's okay, right? The world is not going to end because I didn't finish this lesson, okay? But going to my next class, it's the same thing over and over again. People not being on time, I have to start my class late, students are frustrated and tired, they need to go to the bathroom. In between classes, they get a 5-minute break, right? And a 5-minute break is not enough time to go to the bathroom and drink and do all these things, especially for teenagers, because they have to talk and meet their friends and have conversations and all of these things. The funniest thing about where I'm at, these people live in a very small town. So it's not like they don't get to see each other. They get to see each other every day. They're over each other's houses, right? So for me, I'm constantly like, why do you people often need to talk to each other all the time? You see each other every day. You live in the same neighborhood. Like, what is the problem, right? Right. Then I have to understand, these kids are not like me. I went to school for an education, not for socialization. I didn't go to school for friends or acceptance. I went to school because it was a place where I was supposed to be, where I could learn and just edify myself and become better and learn new skills. And that's why I went to school. I did not go to school to socialize. I did not go to school for friendships because I'm a rock star in my family. Like, literally a rock star. I'm the baby and the only girl. I am loved, cared for, thought about, spoiled, poured into. I got a lot of love, a lot of attention. I had a lot of amazing people in my life, like my grandmother, my Aunt Dorothy, my Uncle George, and all my other aunts and uncles that spent time with me, my brother, Jonathan, and then my other brother, my twin. I didn't meet my twin until college, but there were a lot of other people in my life, other teachers, other people, other like bonus grandmothers, bonus mom, bonus dads who poured into me and just gave me everything that I need to be successful. So they don't have that here. They have me, right? And so it becomes really frustrating that I am the only person that does what I do, am who I am, be who I am, in my classes and to students. And it becomes very exhausting to be the unicorn at work. The one that listens, the one who's kind, the one who's giving, the one who's attentive, the one who's considerate, the one who is empathic. It's very exhausting. Giving. And so at the end of the term, I am exhausted, like utterly exhausted, like so exhausted that I need to take rest, like several days of rest. And so what I'm learning is I really have to use my energy wisely. I really do. I have to drink more water at work. I have to eat more vegetables at work. I have to eat more fruit at work. I have to prioritize not only my feelings, how I feel, and what I'm doing, and how I'm doing it, right? You would think by now I would already understand that I work in a place where people were raised differently, right? They weren't raised like me. They don't come from my country. They don't come from my culture. They don't come from my customs or my traditions. They were not raised like me. They don't have the same understanding that I do about teaching, about, we don't have the same moral standards, values, or principles. Because if we did, I think things would go it might go a little bit smoother, right? Especially with the timing, right? I am a stickler for the time we have is given to us, right? It's a gift. Excuse me, that's why it's so important to stay in the present. And that's why in my present moments, I give what I'm not getting, right? How are you feeling? Okay. And a lot of times, actually, the kids do actually say to me, Miss B, how are you feeling today? I actually enjoy them saying that to me, you know. And I'm very happy that they do that. A lot of my classes, they do say, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Are you okay? Like on days where I'm not okay, the kids, you should see the class is scared. Like they are scared. Because when I come in like, hey everybody, how's everything going? I like your shoes. That's a really nice bag. Oh my goodness, that smells really good. Did you make that, or did your mother make that? Like I'm an introvert. But when I'm in my zone, I'm in my zone. When I'm loving and caring and giving and kind, like that's where I am. And when I'm depleted and I don't have that energy, it really scares students. Like a couple of weeks ago, it's gotten really hot here, so I have headaches, I'm nauseous, just really exhausted. It's really exhausting in the heat. You know, another thing that gets me. Let me just, I never really experienced this anywhere else in the world but here. Okay, so when I was going to school, we had central air. Right? The air was central. You knew the air was central. We could not control it. You had to come to school with sweaters. That's just how it goes. Here, it's a completely different thing. Kids will argue over the AC. They're constantly arguing over the AC. I'm cold. I'm hot. Turn it off. Turn it up. Turn it down. Turn it this. Do it this. Do it that. And it's so frustrating. Right along with being on time to your class, but having to get into your class and start your lesson late because the other teachers, you know, left late. Kids didn't get their 5-minute break. You know, you have to argue about the AC. You would think that the kids who are always hot would sit in the path of the AC, and the students that are often cold would sit out of the path of the AC. This is basic common sense. It's not rocket science. We used to do this in school ourselves. You know, the place where there was a lot of draft, a lot of air coming in, the student that was constantly hot, we would just ask the teacher, can we change our seats? Can we sit here? Because I'm always hot. Can she sit here? Because she's always cold. Like, generationally, we just did that. And we also just had sweaters, right? But, you know, at work, I constantly have to remember something, more so at work than anywhere else in the world, anywhere else in my life. I don't control people. Say it with me. I don't control people. I don't control others. I can only control myself. I can only control me. I can't control them. Many times in class, when things happen, teacher, can you do this? No. You're in charge of you, and she's in charge of herself. Work it out. And quickly, because time, right? But yeah, growing up, you know, when you're a kid, I don't think you understand control. But as you become an adult, like you get it. Like you really get it. Like if you I don't know about you, but as I've gotten older, I really have had to really understand that I am not in control of other people. How other people treat me is a reflection of how they feel about themselves. What they do, how they speak, how they interact with me, that has nothing to do with me. We all have choices to make, right? We all have choices to make. All of us, we all have choices to make. It is up to us to make the right choice for ourselves. I cannot choose for another person. If I could, sometimes I wish I could make some of these educators leave their classrooms on time. I really wish I could make them go to class on time. I really wish I could make them a little bit more considerate of time, right? Because for me, time belongs to God. The breath I breathe belongs to God. Like sometimes I get so upset with my parents because I feel like, why did you guys raise me this way? To be on time, to value time, to value other people's time, to be respectful, to be kind, to be considerate. But at the end of the day, as I travel the world and as I, change the world one child at a time, I cannot be upset with the way that I was raised. I'm very grateful for the way I was raised. I'm very grateful that I know how to go to work on time. Another thing that really bothers me at work sometimes is people do not know how to mind their own business. Oh my goodness. You guys hear me say it all the time. Go to work on time. Oh, the other one is do your job to the best of your ability. I do my job to the best of my ability. Even when I'm not at my best, I'm always doing my best, right? We constantly have people coming in, we get interruptions. Students don't have their calculators, or they don't have this, or they don't have that. And it was like, if students had that 5-minute break, there would be no interruptions in the middle of a lesson. There are times I get interrupted like 10 times. My classes are 45 to 50 minutes long. We get interrupted 10 times. The nurse, the social worker, the cleaner, the principal, just interrupted. The students can come in anytime they want to. Just anytime they want to. They'll knock or whatever, right? But I'm always doing my best. I'm always doing my job to the best of my ability. I have to take deep breaths. I have to realize this is not my country, okay? I work here. I am a visitor here. My role is to educate. My role is not to control and tell people what to do. My job is to be in control of Miss B, right? Classroom management for me starts with managing yourself as a teacher. If you are not able to manage your emotions and the way you feel, you're not going to be able to manage a class, because everything starts with you. If you're not in control of you and everybody else is in control of you, your classroom is going to be a mess. I have seen teachers walk into a classroom and students notice they don't love themselves, they don't like themselves, they don't have self-respect, they don't have any kind of control, and they walk all over that teacher. As a matter of fact, I think Helen Mirren has a story about how she tried to have her hand at teaching, and because she wasn't fully in her power or fully in herself, they walked all over her, and she was like, I can't do that. You know what I mean? So I do my job to the best of my ability, and it really starts with me managing my emotions, managing how I feel, taking deep breaths, understanding that I cannot control this person. This person does not control me. Oftentimes, you have to be really careful with how you're triggered and how you respond to your triggers, right? Because you are around children, and they are sponges, and they will pick up everything you put down. So, right? So, go to work on time. Do your job to the best of your ability. Let's get back to minding your own, mind your business at all times. Miss B minds her business at all times. If something happens between a teacher and I, so for example, this teacher who did not leave her classroom on time, what I do is I knock on the door. I have a very distinctive knock. I knock on that door, and then I will wait. The bell will ring, and I will still wait, right? And like I said, it's hot outside, so I'm waiting in the heat for someone who knew that they know the time. The clock is in there, they have their phone, or they have their watches, and yet I'm waiting. So a lot of times, what'll happen is a couple times, somebody was like, oh, Miss B did this, she said this, she did this, she said that, right? And they go off and they tell the teachers, oh, this happened, and that happened, and this happened. And the students are like, that's not what happened. There are now teachers who understand that that's not what happened. Miss B knocks on the door, and then she waits. Yeah, right? And then other people are getting involved, and it's just like, you know what? Let me sit back, let me relax, let me mind my business, let me keep my mouth shut, because that teacher knows that didn't happen. The students know that didn't happen, and now that we have cameras, they know that didn't happen either, right? Oftentimes, you have to allow people. You have to be silent and not tell your side of the story. And that's very, very frustrating. It's extremely frustrating when people are saying things about you that are not true, and you know they're not true, when you feel like you should defend yourself. No, that's frustrating. Let me just relax and sit back. I know what I did. God Almighty knows what I did. These kids know what I did. And now that we have cameras, they know what happened too. And there are people who are constantly staring out the window. So they actually know what happened as well. Right? The last part is then go home to the life you've been blessed with. Lord, this part here, like, I'm not married. I don't have any children. I am married to God, and the children that I teach, I adopt as my children, right? And as God is my husband, I am very grateful for him being the ruler of the whole world. He has the whole world in his hands. I am very grateful that I talk to him. When I have any complaints, I complain to him. And I thank God that I have an actual life. You'd be surprised at how many people are married, have children, houses, cars, but they do not have a life. Literally. Let me tell you something. Growing up as a child, my parents' marriage may not have been the best marriage in the world. May not have been. May not have been the model marriage. But my parents had a life. They went on vacations. They went to conferences. They went to workshops. They traveled. They would go out with other pastors and their wives. They would go to functions. We had family reunions. We would have gatherings. I think back on my life. Our life was very full. We were always going somewhere, helping somebody, bringing something somewhere, being invited somewhere. We were always invited to go somewhere. We would go church hopping on Saturdays. Church hopping is when you finish church and like, oh, Elder Nelson, Pastor Nelson, she has a church down the street. It is lit. Let's go, right? Pastor Bolden is right up the street. Her church is lit. She's Jamaican, so you know it's lit. Let's go. Like, we were always just like going somewhere, doing something. You know what I'm saying? My parents were like model married people. They had a life. They had friends. They had people that they could talk to. Maybe not talk to, but hey girl, how's it going? I love your shoe, right? All that. My father, he's a guy's guy. Everybody loves my dad. He was quiet, reflexive, just really cool, extremely helpful. All those things. Always, my mother was always cooking food to give to my father, so that when he went out on the streets to minister to people, and sometimes my brothers and I would go, and we would give out food and pass out clothes. In this country, it's really interesting. It's just, in the countries that I've been in, I have to say that in this country, I am often perplexed by the life of people who are married. It is so interesting. Like, I have people at work that I consider friends, but I have friends, like, outside of work. I don't go to work for friendships. I don't go to work for fashion shows. I don't go to work for people's acceptance. I don't go to work for people's approval. All of that comes from the Most High God. I was woken up this morning. I won the lottery of life. I'm up. I'm breathing. I'm walking. I'm talking. I'm moving. Like, I don't need anything. Like, it's interesting. It's really interesting. I go to work to work. On my weekends are mine. What I do on my weekends are mine. I do not go to work and share that with people, right? Because I feel like there needs to be a separation of work and personal life, right? It used to be like church and state. It's like work and personal life. My personal life is personal. It's personal, right? And my personal life is lit. Why? Because I do what I want. I wake up when I want. I meet with people that I want. I do activities that I want to do, right? And I don't share that with other people, right? Because I don't like my work life and my personal life touching. You have those people, they get their plate of food, they have the meat over here, the rice over here, they don't want anything touching, and that's cool. I have no problem with those people. Monk was like that. I really like the show Monk. But it's just like, I go home to the life I was blessed with. books and journals and incense and laughter and jokes and, good dining and, going to the parks and all of these things. Like, I have a life. I'm not just going, at work, I'm going through the motions. In my personal life, I'm writing, reading, reflecting, going to parks and doing all these things that edify me and that just keep me, youthful and happy. But I have a life. I have a life, and thank God I had parents and grandparents and other saints and other religious people that showed me what marriage life is like. Thank God I'm around married people here that they double date. Like two married couples going out on a date. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, oh, my husband and I are going to the movies. Oh my, we're going to the movies soon. We should double date, right? That's so cool. People going to the water parks, or people going to a new restaurant, or people going to brunch together, or let's go to that library museum. Like, let's do this, let's do that. You can tell. You can just tell that something's not right in the lives of your coworkers sometimes, and it's like, sometimes I want to say, the life you're leading right now is a life that other people prayed for. That husband you have is something that somebody prayed for. That house you have, that's something that somebody prayed for. That car, those children, the nannies, the maids, the stipends, all of that, that is, a note of a conversation of complaint. The life that you're living right now is someone's dream. Somebody wanted that. That's one of the main reasons why I do my best to not complain so much. Are things great in my life? Absolutely not. But I'm working on changing them. And if I'm going to complain to somebody, I'm going to talk to somebody who can do something about it, which is the Almighty, the man upstairs, the one who has the whole world in his hands. I don't even complain to my coworkers about work. Okay, I might say something to someone about it, but I don't go on and on and on and on and on. I do ask them, how are your children? Are they okay? Let me see photos. Like, I just love people's kids, A lot of people have a lot of cute love muffins who are a little short and cute and funny. You know how kids, when they just use the crayons to put makeup on their face and then their parents take photos of it, like, yeah. My job is stressful, but I do my best, I do my best. I really do. I do my best. And I'm very grateful that when it's 3 o'clock, I clock out. Why? Because I came to work on time, so I am leaving on time. There used to be a time where I used to stay late, and I'm like, we're not doing that. I have things to do with my life, and I put in my time and my hours here, and so I'm leaving. So lately, I've been pulling back, taking back my power, taking back my energy, taking days off, taking deep breaths, bringing extra food, drinking extra water, going to bathroom, taking more bathroom breaks, taking my time, coming to the door a minute before the bell rings, because, creatures of habit, knowing that people are going to be late all the time means that you need to adjust yourself to your situation, right? I know this person is not going to end their class on time, so I'm not going to be standing outside for 5 minutes in the heat waiting for them to finish their class, right? And now there are teachers who release their students in class on time, and you know what they do? They knock on that door, they go inside and say, hey guys, Miss B is outside. It's time for the next lesson, right? And I am ever so grateful that they do that. I am ever so grateful to the students that do that, because if they don't, I would probably be standing outside for a long time, and I don't deserve that. So this is just a little bit of my work stress. Your work stress is probably a lot different than mine. I'm an educator. You know, we got 5 million things to do, and people put 5 billion more things on top of us to do. And so, you know, as they do that, I breathe, pray, meditate, write, read, and realize that I'm alive, I'm well, I have health care, I have a lot of things that other people don't, and I need to work on not allowing my job to stress me out, because you know, when I leave, or if they fire me, they're just gonna replace me with someone else. Mind you, you cannot replace me, because what I do in a classroom, no one else can do. The connection that I have with these children, no one else can have that kind of connection. They may have a connection, but they won't have the connection that I have. So balancing out my work stress looks like me prioritizing my needs and myself before anything, and taking inventory of situations and understanding, like I said before, this person's going to be late, so let me just show up a minute before the bell rings. Right, right, right. That's how that goes. I want to thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Leave a comment. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to end it how I always end it. Go to work on time. Do your job to the best of your ability. Mind your business at all times. Don't be talking about nobody, because you don't want them talking about you. And go home to the life you've been blessed with. Going home to the life you've been blessed with is a blessing, because some people don't even make it home. You're a blessing. So is your life. Protect your life, protect your energy, protect your mind. Have a great day.